Across the Gambia and around the world, this is Atlantic TV News with me, Alagie Mbaye. Our top stories. Foreign Minister Dr. Mamadou Tangara explains fate of diplomats recalled over scandals. This as he answers questions at the legislative chambers. Police Commissioner Lamin King-Colley of the Mobile Traffic Unit tackles roaming coast cattle as he leads an operation to clear the roads of large herds of cattle freely roaming towns and beaches unattended. The National Assembly approves the deployment of Gambian soldiers to Sierra Leone in a vote to support a government motion to deploy soldiers to the West African nation as part of an ECOWAS stabilization mission. The Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs informs deputies that government spent a staggering 9,996,000 euros, an equivalent of $767,373,128 on the 89 vehicles purchased for the 2024 OIC summit. Away from home, Sudan's crisis puts Uganda's refugee camp to test as nearly 1,000 Sudanese refugees continue to arrive at a camp in northern Uganda on a weekly basis. And aid agencies report millions of children are facing challenges such as communicable diseases infections in the Democratic Republic of Congo due to overcrowding and other issues. Now, Foreign Minister Dr. Mamadou Tangara was on the hot seat at the National Assembly where he was bombarded with questions about the fate of several Gambian diplomats recalled over scandals in the US, Cuba, Mauritania, and Russia. Minister Tangara said some Gambian diplomats whose conducts brought embarrassment to the country have been removed from the Foreign Service. The minister did not disclose the names of persons involved, but last year, 4 diplomats were expelled by the United States government for different offenses, including visa fraud. Another incident at the Gambian embassy in Cuba resulted in the recalling of 2 diplomats for involvement in an unfortunate incident. A finance officer there too was recalled. In one of the latest incidents, a diplomat was recalled from Mauritania under controversial circumstances. In addition to recalling them, some of the diplomats are no longer with the Foreign Service even though they are part of the civil service. We cannot get them out of the civil service, but we can advise that they don't join the Foreign Service anymore because they represent the Gambia and it is the image of the country that is at stake, he said, as reported by the Standard newspaper. Police Commissioner Lamin King-Colley of the Mobile Traffic Unit has said that the animals has gone stray and are untouchable after their late owner had cast a spell bringing harm to anyone who dared to touch them. With his passing, the myth continues. The spell is still intact, for only him can undo it. However, recently, the police began to break the myth surrounding the animals by surprisingly announcing that it will take them away from highways and public places, and true to its word, officers led by Commissioner King-Colley went into action. Addressing concerns about the spell over the coast cattle a few days into the operations, King said he is naturally a practical man who does not have time for illogical matters. Everyone has a signed date of departure from this world with God, and nothing will happen until such date comes. We have since rounded off this flock you can see here, and since then I have not even had a bad dream, let alone die, he told Digital Voice Media according to the Standard newspaper. Moving on, lawmakers have voted to support a government motion to deploy Gambian soldiers to Sierra Leone as part of an ECOWAS stabilization mission. Vice President His Excellency Mohamed B.S. Jallow, who tabled the motion before NAMS, revealed that 150 soldiers will be deployed as a motorized infantry to restore peace, security, and stability in the West African nation. He said regional bloc ECOWAS will bear the cost of deployment, including payment of allowances to the troops. ECOWAS believes Sierra Leone is faced with security issues since last November's alleged attempted coup against President Julius Maada Bio's government, which saw several soldiers killed. VP Jallo stated that the deployment will not only see Gambian troops benefit, but the country by large, since most of the vehicles they will use are owned by the Gambia, and ECOWAS will therefore reimburse the country in that regard. Now, CD Keita, the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, on Wednesday informed deputies that the total expenditure of the 89 vehicles purchased for the 2024 OIC summit was 9,996,000 euros, an equivalent of 767,373,128 dollars. The minister's revelation came on the heels of a question asked by Honorable Seni Jawara to provide details of the procurement process of the 100 vehicles, the criteria used for selection, the vehicles, the total expenditure, and how these vehicles will be utilized after the OIC summit. Minister Keita said it was announced in a restricted tender approved by the Gambia Public Procurement Authority. Bids were received from Saben A. Madi, TK Motors, Espas Motors, Quantum Net, Asata Motors, Lanza Motors, and Cornerstone. Espas Motors and Quantum Net won the first lot, while TK Motors won the second lot. The OIC board recommended a change in terms due to a reassessment of VIP needs and cost considerations. Minister Keita further explained that the financing for the purchase of the 89 vehicles was not included in the 2024 budget and had to be arranged within a short-term frame. He said to fund the transactions, they approached the ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development, which approved a $15 million loan. However, the loan terms did not offer positive interest rates, so the supplier had to pre-finance the vehicles according to the Point newspaper. Now, moving on. Swiss law professor explains gaps in Sonko and Korea trials. A major gap in prosecuting perpetrators of human rights violations under universal jurisdictions in Switzerland and now the US exposes a legal gap that some offenses had not been criminalized in the Gambia in order to qualify as crimes against humanity in prosecuting countries. In Switzerland, rape charges against Usman Sonko have been discontinued due to the fact that they have not been categorized as crimes against humanity in the Gambia. In the US, Michael Sankoria, who will not be tried for crimes of extrajudicial killing, rape, kidnappings, except for torture, and for the same reasons are in Switzerland. This is called dual criminality under universal jurisdiction, explained Nadia Kapos, Swiss law professor at the Faculty of Law, University of Neuchâtel, Switzerland. A crucial requirement for the application of Article 6 of the Swiss Criminal Code is indeed that the conduct must also be criminalized at the place where it was committed. This rule is intended to prevent Switzerland from prosecuting actions that are not considered offenses in other countries, see further explained. However, Swiss prosecutorial authorities and courts were able to assert jurisdictions in the case against Usman Sonko and how they handled the issue of Gambia not having criminalized certain offenses. According to the Association of Victims-Led Organization in the Gambia, Michael Sankoria's prosecution in the US also demonstrates the importance of universal jurisdiction, which recognizes that crimes like those allegedly committed by Korea are crimes against people regardless of their nationality. According to the Association of Victim-Led Organizations in the Gambia, Michael Korea's prosecution in US also demonstrates the importance of universal jurisdiction, which recognizes that crimes like those allegedly committed by Korea are crimes against all people regardless of their nationality. You're watching Atlantic TV News. We'll take a short break, but the news continues right after that. Stay tuned.
Atlantic Media Company. Follow us on Facebook at Atlantic TV The Gambia, on YouTube at Atlantic TV Gambia, on TikTok atlantic.tv.gambia. Follow our music platform on Facebook at Atlantic TV Music Platform Entertainment.
Welcome back. In the internationals, nearly 1,000 Sudanese refugees continue to arrive at a camp in northern Uganda every week. As the conflict they are fleeing shows no sign of stopping. Health facilities in the settlement are struggling to provide urgent care to the increasing numbers of refugees that are arriving. Details in this report by CGTN.
Nuraldin Delan is a Sudanese refugee living in the Kiriandongo refugee settlement in mid-north Uganda. He is an atomic and molecular physicist and was teaching at the University of Nyala in South Darfur before he fled the country 1 year ago due to the ongoing conflict in Sudan. But since he arrived with his family of 4, he's found no work to meet his level of education. Nuraldin says he feels mentally unfit to carry on.
Really, sometimes I feel like why all my life I studied very hard. So since I was in graduation, I'm first of my class, and did my master degree also in the University of Khartoum, the best university in Sudan, and also did my PhD in China. You know the China. So now I'm jobless.
Nuraldin also has a special needs child who has a condition that cannot be managed at the medical facilities in the settlement. With no money for better care, he says his child's health is deteriorating and this worries him.
I'm thinking about how I can provide for him care, because he need to physiotherapy, and also and also recently doctor said he need surgery to make these things strings, and then to do physiotherapy. But unfortunately, there is no organization take care of him.
Health facilities in the settlement are struggling to find urgent care to the increasing numbers of refugees. Refugees like Nuraldin and his child can only be referred to bigger clinics in the city, which are unaffordable. The health center here is poorly staffed to meet the increasing number of patients who have to queue for hours to be attended to by the only 2 doctors. And drug stockouts of essential medicines is making it difficult to provide care. The United Nations Refugee Agency says there is a huge funding gap affecting service delivery. The Uganda refugee response is one of the most underfunded globally.
Intervention related to psychosocial support needs person-to-person time. And most of the partners here are struggling with staffing. And the main challenge is that we have received more than, from this year only, from the start of the 2024, we have received more than 35,000.
The UNHCR is appealing for $1.4 billion so that refugees like Nuraldin and his family can receive the care they need. Isabel Nakiria, CGTN, Kiriandongo Refugee Settlement, Northern Uganda.
International aid agency Save the Children says overcrowded conditions, malnutrition, and other issues make the Democratic Republic of Congo's fight against Mpox even more difficult. The country is also battling cholera and measles. Details in this CGTN report.
The devastation of war. Thousands of people who fled fighting between Congolese troops and the M23 rebels in North Kivu province are living in crowded camps in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Health workers have recorded several cases of Mpox in these camps, but the medicine and food handouts from humanitarian organizations are not enough to nourish all these displaced people. Aid agencies are warning that the situation has increased the rate of malnutrition and the risk of contracting Mpox.
People are already in uncrowded situations with many healthcare problems, a situation that's very easy for Mpox to spread. And when you visit, Save the Children has been working to help improve healthcare, to prevent, whether that's preventing measles or treating diarrhea or helping with cholera, all the things that are already killing so many children, we are facing these challenges.
The DRC government and international organizations say they have designed plans to tackle that problem in South Kivu and other provinces.
And the nutrition is one of the factors that can explain the severe form of Mpox that we need to pay attention for this. That is why in our response there is a pillar about how to support nutrition of people when they are affected by Mpox.
The DRC recently received 260,000 doses of vaccines to curb the spread of Mpox. The Mpox vaccination campaign is expected to start in early October. 6 provinces that have recorded the highest number of cases will be the first to get the jabs. The DRC government says it will continue working with the World Health Organization, UNICEF and other agencies to strengthen surveillance and the testing of suspected cases to prevent deaths among children and adults. Chris Sochamringa, CGTN, Kinshasa, Democratic Republic of Congo.
Moving on, Zambia faces energy shortage due to a receding water level. A 1,000 megawatt daily power deficit has left many of Zambia's citizens in the dark for up to 20 hours per day, affecting businesses and the economy due to a drought-depleted water levels in hydropower dams, which provides about 83% of Zambia's energy. Analysts said the country's underinvestment alternative in power generation is also to blame for the crisis. Details in this CGTN report.
A more than 1,000 megawatt daily power deficit has left many of Zambia's citizens in the dark for up to 20 hours per day. Agnes Mwale, a resident of Old Chawama in the country's capital, Lusaka, says the power shortages have upended her way of life.
I used to sell frozen water and cold drinks but can't anymore. Our school children are affected. They can't study in the dark and rely on mobile phones for research, which they can't use because of the outages.
She's also worried about health hazards because there isn't enough power to pump water to households.
13 people live here and we all use this toilet. Sometimes the water we fetch by hand runs out, and that's a big risk.
Lusaka was the epicenter of a devastating cholera outbreak earlier this year, which is still fresh in residents' memories. The electricity shortfall is also playing havoc on business and the economy at large. Tinos Kunyongana has to use a generator to get any work done, but it's come at a cost.
You find that you buy fuel for 200 kwacha, you want something for 300 kwacha. Then you see, these guys, they need some money also. So you find that the money which we have is very little.
Analysts say though the drought has triggered the current crisis, the country is suffering the consequences of underinvestment in alternative power generation.
We did not respond early to the need to diversify our generation, because the writing was already on the wall that the days of depending on hydro are numbered as far back as 15 years.
Hydropower makes up about 83% of Zambia's energy mix. The country is urgently pursuing independent renewable power projects and imports from neighboring countries to augment supply. Farai Mwakutuya, CGTN.
You're watching Atlantic TV News with me, Alagie Mbaye. A quick reminder of the headlines this hour. Foreign Minister Dr. Mamadou Tangara had explained the fate of diplomats recalled over scandals. This as he answered questions at the legislative chambers. Police Commissioner Lamin King Koli of the Mobile Traffic Unit had tackled roaming coast cattle as he led an operation to clear the roads of large herds of cattle roaming towns and beaches unattended. The National Assembly approved the deployment of Gambian soldiers to Sierra Leone as lawmakers voted to support a government motion to deploy soldiers to the West African nation as part of an ECOWAS stabilization mission. The Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs informed deputies that government spent a staggering 9,996,000 euros, an equivalent of 767,373,128 dollars on the 89 vehicles purchased for the 2024 OIC summit. Away from home, Sudan crisis has been putting a Uganda refugee camp to test, as nearly 1,000 Sudanese refugees continue to arrive at the camp in northern Uganda on a weekly basis. And aid agencies have reported millions of children are facing challenges such as communicable diseases infections in the Democratic Republic of Congo due to overcrowding and other issues. That does it for this hour. Many thanks for watching and enjoy the range of our interesting programs.
Atlantic Media Company. Follow us on Facebook at Atlantic TV The Gambia, on YouTube at Atlantic TV Gambia, on TikTok atlantic.tv.gambia. Follow our music platform on Facebook at Atlantic TV Music Platform Entertainment.